1 hour of some terrifying Reddit threads. My friend just murdered her sibling. Originally posted to r/off my chest, and the post reads as follows. I'm a lurker, and I don't really post, but I'm in shock and don't have anyone to talk to about this without judgment, because this will probably make the news somewhere. Names, ages, genders are being changed. I just need to scream. Jane has been my closest friend since we were 7 years old. She probably knows more about me than anyone else in the world, even my parents and partner. We've always been like siblings and stayed together when our other friends drifted away. She was my biggest supporter when I was abused by an ex-partner. I was her biggest supporter when she dropped out of university because of her depression. If I had nobody else, I always had her. Everything had been fine until I found out she was pregnant. I was shocked because she didn't have a partner I knew about, and she's really young. And she also didn't tell me. I was suspicious for a while because she was often sick and had gained weight, but I didn't want to point it out since she's always been thin. Eventually, I confronted her, and she admitted that she was almost 7 months pregnant, but she only recently found out. I called BS because, in my head, there is no way you could think a pregnant belly was normal weight gain. How did she not feel the baby kicking or her missed period? But I was there for her. I should have talked to someone because I was worried that she was so in denial, but I didn't. Before and after she told me she was pregnant, she was way more manic than she had been before. She would call me in the middle of the night and start a normal conversation like it was the middle of the day. She would say weird things about herself and her family, but she's always had a morbid sense of humor, and they were never scary or threats. I keep looking for hints that she was going to do this, but I can't find any other than the pregnancy did something to her brain. Jane has a younger sibling who was her parents' surprise baby. We never spent a lot of time with siblings because of the age gap, but I knew from being at the family's house that they had a nut allergy. Jane joked about it a lot because it was annoying to keep their food separate. I still don't know a lot of details because either Jane won't say anything or the police won't. But I found out through her parents that her sibling had died from an allergic reaction. It was from peanut butter that the parents hadn't bought, and Jane was the only other person in the house, and nobody knows if she tricked them into eating it or force-fed them after hiding their EpiPen. I don't know what happened, but the police took her in and they haven't let her go. I feel sick because it was not an accident. She murdered them. Her parents say she must have been trying to prove they were really allergic, but that doesn't help her. She still did it on purpose, and they can't prove she wasn't trying to kill them. She hid the EpiPen. It must have been planned. She knew they would die without it. She's 9 months pregnant and probably in prison right now. I don't know if her parents will keep her baby. None of this feels real, and I can't breathe. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, that's a lot. It certainly sounds like it could be the result of pregnancy psychosis, which is rare, but happens. There are warning signs she should have gotten help for. How sad for the parents to essentially lose both of their children at once. I hope you have someone to talk to as well if your grief becomes heavy. Someone else says, my mother had postpartum psychosis when I was an infant and almost committed murder S-word with me and her, believing she was in an alternate dimension with me and the only way was out. That shit can really mess with your brain. And another user says, oof, that's a lot to take in. So I totally understand you feeling like you feel. I do have a couple of questions though. Number one, did you ask her who the dad is? Number two, what are her parents saying about the baby? You don't have to answer. I'm just curious. And the OP responds and says, I asked her if she knew him more than a stranger, and she said she did. She had casual partners at the time, so I assumed it was one of them, and she didn't want to tell him. We haven't really talked about it, but I don't think they want to keep it. They've had 6 children and just lost 2 of them, so I hope nobody forces them to take it in when it's born. She's 40 weeks, so it's any time now, and they're too much of a wreck, so I can't blame them if they don't want it. She said it was one of her casual partners, but it makes sense. I thought about it, but I didn't want to force her to tell me. She didn't get excited about any baby thing she bought, never asked anyone to feel the baby kick. I offered to throw her a baby shower and she refused. A family member had a 4D ultrasound clinic and offered her a session and pictures for free, but she didn't want it. Even if she didn't tell the police, which I would understand because they were never helpful with my abuse, I don't know why she wouldn't tell me. From what I know, she had a normal, happy childhood. I was with her most of the time, and her parents were lovely, and she got along with her siblings. She's number 5 or 6 children, so she has never had to raise any siblings, and all of them had to help with the littlest one sometimes. If she was bitter, she never said anything. And then we get an update about 1 month later, and let's get into it. It reads as follows. Thank you all for your kind messages. It's been one of the worst months of my life, and it just keeps getting worse. After my post, everything happened very fast, and I just couldn't do anything but try and process it, so I'm sorry for not updating. Clarifications from the last post. The sibling is absolutely not Jane's baby's other parent. She might not have known for other reasons, but it wasn't a case of not realizing she was pregnant because of her shape / cycle, etc. She was rail thin and had an obvious bump around 4 months. I've been pregnant before, and she looked the same as I did. I figured she was waiting to tell me and just bad at hiding it, but eventually she was so big that I could not ignore it. There's no way she just didn't know for all the normal reasons. Summary or details below. Jane had a psychotic break. She is getting treatment, but she had her baby and it was taken away. Everybody is a mess. I will be omitting a loss for privacy again, even though it only made local news as far as I'm aware. She was not taken to prison. She went to some kind of psychiatric unit. I didn't go visit her because I was so angry and upset at the time that I worried about what I would do if I saw her. I've been spending a lot of time with her family since we were very close. Her parents have been dealing with things and I got most details through them, but I'll leave the worst stuff out for their sake. They're as okay as they can be. They're staying with their oldest child's family and selling their house since only they, Jane, and siblings still live there, and they don't want to go back. Her mother went to talk to her while she was still with the police, and they got a confession. I won't give specifics because it's so horrible. I threw up after I heard it. Once she was taken to the unit, they said her breakdown was either caused by the pregnancy or made worse by it, because she had no idea what anyone was talking about when they mentioned her baby. She couldn't recognize that she was pregnant anymore, even though she was 40 weeks. Sometime after she got to the psych ward, she went into labor. I'm not sure if it's usually allowed, but since she was so unwell, her mother was with her because she didn't know what was going on and they thought it would help her. Her mother told me everything and I wish she hadn't. She was screaming for help, but the staff had been told what she did and didn't care about her. She attacked the nurses and they had to hold her down for most of her labor. I know I shouldn't feel bad because of what she did, but thinking about her being in so much pain and unable to understand what was going on makes me feel sick. IIRC, she kept fighting them, so they put her to sleep and gave her a C-section instead. The baby is either still in hospital or with foster parents. I'm not sure right now, but her family never wanted to see it. After the baby was born, she calmed down, but she still assaulted more hospital workers and the staff at the psych ward. Her parents don't go and see her. They just find out what's happened through her doctors. Obviously, they are still a wreck because their baby is dead and one of their other children killed them. I just keep crying because I don't know why Jane did it to them. They were always kind to her and they never fought. I just keep telling myself that it was nobody's fault and she was already fragile and being pregnant broke her. She will go to trial but probably won't go to prison because of her mental state. I don't know if any of it makes me feel better. It's comforting to know that she isn't a calculated killer and it wasn't really her fault. But that makes me even more scared. One day she's going to snap back and realize that she killed her sibling and she has a baby somewhere that she'll probably never meet, and I think it'll kill her when that happens. I don't know how I'm supposed to exist after this. I'm just glad she's gone. If anything important happens, I'll update, but probably not. It drags back up a lot of painful memories relating to my own pregnancies that I was finally starting to deal with. I'm back at square one again, and I don't think I'll ever be the same. I just want to forget her. And the top comment on this post reads, "She's probably in a high security psychiatric institution, which is essentially a prison hospital. Look, OP, you need to start seeing a trauma therapist. I can hear the 1,000-yard stare in the way you write. I'm sorry for all of this, but the best thing you can do right now is take care of your own mental health." And this was the last update we have ever received from the OP. My 24 female best friend's 23 female boyfriend, who is 25 male, tried to take a creep shot of me, and I don't know how to tell her. Sorry if this is a little long. I don't really know where to begin. So Erin and I have been friends since middle school. We have been through it all. She has overcome many difficult relationships, moved past it, and changed into a different person, for the better. About 3 years back, she met her now boyfriend, Ryan. When I say Erin was obsessed with Ryan, I mean it. She constantly talked about him and was completely head over heels for this guy even before they started dating. Eventually, they did become official. They quickly moved in together, his hometown, not ours, have traveled together quite extensively, and have pretty much been a model couple. All of Erin's friends really like Ryan. He fits in perfectly and is just a really nice person. Erin is extremely happy with Ryan. She often tells me how she is still just as in love as when they first met, and how she feels like they are supposed to be together. They travel, live in a great area, and have their dream puppy. Basically, everything she has ever wanted has come true in the past year or so. I have never seen her so happy, and it is really an amazing thing to see for me. Before this all, I was so happy for her and Ryan. So here is the problem. About 1.5 weeks ago, Ryan, Erin, and myself went out drinking. None of us drank much, and we called it an early night. It was planned that I would be staying on their pull-out bed in the living room for the night. I had brought pajama shorts and a tank top, which I didn't give any thought to as this is my usual sleepwear at a friend's. Anyway, we go to bed and all is well. At about 4 a.m., I'm startled awake by something very lightly moving at my feet. I should note that I put a pillow over my head to block out noise from the outside. At first, I think it is a puppy, but realized I didn't hear the sound of his nails on the floor, which would have absolutely woken me up as I am a very light sleeper. Also, the dog sleeps in a crate at night. Realizing that it could not be the puppy, I became frozen. It's hard to explain, but I really couldn't move. The blanket at my feet was being pulled very lightly over my legs to expose them. I start to shift around in my sleep and move the pillow off of my eyes a little bit. To my surprise, I see Ryan standing by the side of my bed completely still. I move around a bit more to signal I am waking up, unsure of what he is doing. He really quietly shuffles away. If I hadn't seen him, I probably wouldn't have heard him shuffle away at all. He was eerily quiet. I figure he was trying to get one of my blankets without waking me up, as maybe him and Aaron were cold. I turn onto my other side. The bed I slept in did not have a wall on either side, just the head. And I see him standing extremely still behind a wall in the kitchen. At this point, I am frozen again and my heart starts pounding. He then walks up and turns his phone flashlight on and shines it in my eyes, which were open a very small amount. This startled me, and I accidentally let out a noise. He quietly shuffled into his bedroom, and I heard the door close. Again, I think he must have been trying to get a blanket, and I fall back asleep. Probably an hour passes, and I wake up to the exact same sensation of the blankets being moved from my body. My heart at this point is pounding incredibly fast that I'm scared he will be able to hear it and realize I'm awake. My back was facing toward him, and I kept feeling the covers getting peeled back. I think I was in shock, as I never would have thought he would do anything even remotely sinister. My back is exposed now, and I thought he was going to get into the bed with me, which I thought I could use as an excuse to wake up and ask him what he was doing. Instead, the flash of his camera went off. Realizing what just happened, I started coughing and clearing my throat, and moving around until he shuffled off again. I was very shocked and confused at this point, as I considered Ryan a friend of mine. At one point, I even started thinking that he must have had a plan in case I woke up, like attacking me or something. He most likely didn't, but that is where my mind kept going for some reason, and it made me too scared to move. From what I think was about 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., he constantly tried to move the covers off of me, but as I had not fallen back asleep, I would pull the covers tighter and tighter around me each time, as well as cough and yawn and stretch and generally give off the signs that I was waking up. Finally, at around 8 a.m., he went back into his bedroom and I texted my boyfriend that I needed to talk to him when he woke up and to please call me. The sun was up at this point, and the room was completely bright. I figured I was safe at this point, because it was officially daytime, and decided I could let myself relax until Aaron woke up. About 45 minutes after I texted my boyfriend and Ryan really get on and like each other a lot, Ryan came back again. At this point, I started yawning and stretching to let him know I was wide awake. He very hurriedly shuffled to his room, and I quickly pulled out my phone and played a YouTube video quite loudly, hoping he could hear it. I am just in complete shock because I thought we were friends and he respected me. Yet he terrorized me all night. Also, I am completely enraged at how he could do this all, and even while in a relationship with my best friend. And selfishly, I am angry that he put me in a position where I have to destroy her happiness. I know I have to tell her, but I am unsure of what to say. I guess I just want to know how to go about this. I haven't spoken to either of them since, despite us previously speaking daily prior to this incident. I don't know if she'll believe me, which is my greatest fear. I also don't know if she will hate me or blame me. I wish I had a night vision camera set up as proof. I really don't want to destroy everything she had wanted for so long, but I know I don't have a choice. How should I approach this? Do I text her? Ask to meet for lunch? Do I confront him? I keep thinking that is going to ruin our friendship and it's his word against mine. I'm also concerned that he posted the picture to some kind of creep shot forum. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I'm very sorry for the long post. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, firstly, Jesus effing Christ, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I can see why you're so scared. Unfortunately, you don't have much control over whether or not she believes you, unless you feel like doing some sort of complex detective work to prove he has the photos or catch him in the act. Second one sounds kind of dangerous, so I wouldn't recommend it. Is there any way you could get access to his phone before he finds out that you know he took the photos? If not, then just tell everyone the truth, in person. Your best bet is to point out that before this, you had no reason to distrust Ryan and therefore have no reason to lie. Regardless of who believes you and what they say, never be around Ryan again. He's clearly dangerous, and from what you said, he is probably very good at whatever the F he is doing. And the OP responds and says, I also wonder if he has ever done the same to her, but she let it slide or thought it was endearing or cute since they're in a relationship. I hope he has given off some kind of vibe that he is into voyeurism or whatever this could be, so she can think back to that. I think I should probably ask her to meet alone in person. They live in a different town, so no access to his phone. Thank you so much for your response. And someone replies and says, I definitely think it was not his first time because he was so persistent. I can't believe how willing he was to getting caught and how persistently he came back. Another user says, I don't think this is something you'll really be able to hide. She's going to wonder why you don't want to hang out with her and her boyfriend. So really, your own choices are to ghost your best friend silently or tell her and let her make her own decision. I would say definitely tell her and maybe confront him if it's something you want and are comfortable with. Sounds like he could definitely use the confrontation if you're willing to give it, but it's also very probable that he'll deny everything. And the OP responds and says, that's the thing. I know if I ask him what he is doing, he'll say, what are you talking about? I definitely want to tell her. Thank you. And someone else says, OMG, this is terrible. Just another example of a woman being harassed and not knowing WTF to do about it. Bless your heart, he's a jerk. You obviously have to tell her. She's your best friend. She's going to take your side. You have no reason to make up something like this. And if she demands to see his phone when she accuses him, the evidence will be right there on it. Ugh, I am so angry for you. And the OP responds and says, right after I left their place, I wish I told her to check his phone. I wonder if he put it on his laptop or something is the only thing. He isn't a dumb person. So I really feel like he would hide them somewhere. Thank you so much for your response. And then the OP comes back with an update 6 weeks later. And let's get into it. It reads as follows. Firstly, thank you all for your overwhelming support in my last post. And thank you for sharing your stories. Everyone's advice was so helpful. Thank you again. I'm writing this update because a few of you asked for it, so I told Aaron everything. It took longer than I would have liked to admit, but I started second guessing myself and asking myself if I really even knew what had happened. Like, what if I had somehow imagined it all? Hint, I didn't. I was just so truly scared that she would hate me. So we met and I told her everything. She listened quietly and responded by telling me, of course she believed me, and she would talk to Ryan about it. We hugged. She reiterated that she would always believe me, and we parted ways. It went over better than I expected. She texted me later that night, pretty devastated and kind of hysterical. She had confronted him and he admitted to it immediately. She told me she was sorry that I felt violated in her home and that he was wrong for doing it, etc. She was really upset naturally. She couldn't even go to work for a few days. Ryan said that everything I told her was true, aside from taking the picture. He said it was just the flash from his flashlight. He said he was curious and that he didn't know why he did it. He told her it was like an adrenaline rush. He also wrote me a long message telling me that he knows it was wrong and he was so sorry, and he wanted to say something but didn't want Aaron to break up with him. He said he hated himself for doing it, and he acted on temptation instead of ignoring it. He said he was sorry I felt unsafe in his home and that he hurt both me and Aaron. He said he was going to work hard to gain back my trust. I told him to focus on Aaron right now. Aaron told me he spent days crying to the point of throwing up. He also told her it wasn't intimate in nature. It was more of an adrenaline rush. I'm not really convinced by this, but Aaron is. She also texted all the girls who have slept their house, asking if they had a similar experience. They all reacted with complete disbelief and said absolutely not. Anyway, Aaron is devastated, but I don't think they'll be separating. She doesn't want him around me or any of her female friends for that matter. If I forgot anything, I'll add it in. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "Holy moly, OP, I just saw your update. This guy has serious issues and his girlfriend is living in a fool's paradise. An adrenaline rush doesn't go on for literally hours. And if it's non-intimate, then what is he supposedly curious about? The color of your pajamas? I'm glad you could keep the friendship anyway, and I'm also glad she isn't expecting/wanting you to act like nothing happened. But yikes." And the OP responded and said, "This is exactly what I pointed out to her too. It went on too long to be a fleeting lapse in judgment, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. So I decided that I'll support her in whatever decision she wants to make, as long as it isn't swept under the rug and I don't have to see him. I'm not sure why my update is locked, so thank you for replying here." And someone else says, "God, that's so effing creepy. Him saying it wasn't intimate really doesn't help. Assaults are often about power and control. His claim of curiosity doesn't make sense. I also believe he didn't take pictures. He's probably got a collection stashed somewhere." And I completely agree with that last commenter. This guy 100% did it in an intimate way, in just a gross way. Like, he didn't just do it for an adrenaline rush. Like, that doesn't even make sense. And he 100% probably took pictures. I mean, he just had a flash on his phone to look. Sure, buddy. Like, it's not like a flash of a picture. But the fact that he kept coming back over hours is literally so terrifying. I mean, I can't imagine being the OP. Like, anybody would feel just locked up in shock and fear if someone was, standing there watching you sleep and taking pictures of you and pulling down your blanket so they can see just more of you. It is just ridiculously creepy. And I'm honestly surprised that the OP's friend is staying with him. But this guy is an absolute creep weirdo. And I hope the OP never has to come into contact with him again. And this is the last update we have ever received from the OP, so we have no idea what ended up happening, but yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on this? OP's boyfriend is being accused of R-word. She doesn't know who to believe. I'm a woman, 26, who's dating a man, 25, for about 6 months. We've had a few ups and downs regarding some communication issues, but mostly it's a positive, supportive relationship. Yawn, okay, moving on. Last night, roommate, female, 24, sent me a text while I was studying/hanging out with boyfriend in our on-campus computer lab. I'm a professional student, he isn't, but he likes to hang out with me and play computer games while I study sometimes. Go figure. The gist was that someone told her some extremely concerning things about my boyfriend. Understandably, this made me very nervous, but mostly just confused. She arrives at the computer lab with an email from an anonymous, to me, not to roommate, mutual friend of all three of us that said the following. A. Mutual anonymous friend heard a rumor about a year ago that boyfriend had R-worded someone. But since boyfriend had never acted inappropriately around women that she had witnessed, she felt like it wasn't her place to say anything. B. Mutual anonymous friend was contacted by one of her friends after she was spotted hanging out with boyfriend the other day. We were all hanging out together. And that person said the following, quote, "Hey, this is a really difficult message to write, but I noticed earlier you were hanging out with boyfriend. I've been contacted by a close friend who asked me to warn people away from him because he is a R-wordist. Apparently, he does not regret his actions against several women in our city and seems to take pleasure in rubbing it in their faces. He also, from what I heard, talks a good feminist game and uses that as a way to get close to people." The message contained some other stuff in a similar vein. C. Mutual anonymous friend responded that she pretty much only hangs out with him because she's friends with me. Asked if he had any charges against him, he doesn't, and asked for more info. The other person replied that he has, quote, "definitely R-worded at least one woman and has a pattern of being hostile, aggressive, and antagonist towards his ex-girlfriends. He has on at least one occasion stalked a man that was dating one of his exes." And D. Mutual anonymous friend contacted roommate instead of contacting me, and roommate contacts me. Gates of drama are opened. My boyfriend's response to all this. He says he has absolutely no idea what is going on with any of this, that he has never been accused of R-wording or coercing any women, that no woman has ever not given consent to have intimacy with him, that he's not even been in any compromising situation with any woman where there could even be any ambiguity. He's had a few drunken one-night stands in his early 20s where he went through a heavy drinking period, but he says even then, there was no possibility of having R-worded someone. There was one instance where he tried to fight his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend about a yearish ago when drunk at a bar, and ended up drunkenly spitting on both of them. A dick move, which he admits and has since worked through with his ex-girlfriend in his only friendly terms with her, but not the new boyfriend who she's since dumped. Roommate is really freaked out. She doesn't know what to believe, since mutual anonymous friend swears her source is reliable and insists that boyfriend not spend the night at our apartment nor I spend the night at his. Boyfriend is really saddened by this and feels like by not letting him spend the night with me, we usually spend the night together, that I give more weight to some anonymous source over him. But to be perfectly honest, I was just totally confused and shocked and didn't really know what to think. I spoke to some other people this morning who've known boyfriend for a long time to see if they've ever heard of anything even close to this rumor, and they say no, which I was expecting, because they would have told me if they thought the new guy I'm dating is a effing R-wordist. I have never seen any indication of violence from him. He's gotten mad before and once kind of yelled at me, but he apologized after and he realized he was raising his voice. He has never forcibly had intimacy with me or coerced me into anything I didn't feel comfortable doing. As one might suspect, I have a pretty good idea of who mutual anonymous friend is, and have contacted her with I heard this terrible rumor. Have you heard anything about boyfriend like that? And haven't heard a response yet from her. Edit, just heard from her. She didn't say that it was from her that said it, but judging by the content of her reply, it's pretty clear it was. She basically said the same thing as the email. And then we get an update a few days later, and it's not a good one. Let's get into the update. Well, this is awkward. It's kind of interesting that one of the first things I feel the need to do is tell the internet about this, but I think it'll be a good way to start to process some shit. People that research traumatic experiences say that one of the most important things that you can do to process information is to write down everything that happens as soon as you can, without censoring anything. So here we go. Just a brief summary. I heard through roommates who heard from a mutual anonymous friend who heard from a friend that my boyfriend R-worded at least one person and had a pattern of being really aggressive to ex-girlfriends and their new boyfriends. Sounds like hearsay, right? And I guess it technically is. Reddit agreed with me. The new stuff. I get an email forwarded to me by roommates, who I guess got it from either the source or someone else, that detailed exactly what happened. RE, the alleged R word. It was incredibly detailed and featured some things that were clearly true and about my boyfriend, like scars that he has, etc. So I knew it wasn't just a rumor anymore. So I confronted my boyfriend and he admitted that he did it. And it happened about 5 years ago. So here are the facts. Number one, I was told in a really drama-laden way that my boyfriend R-worded someone. Number two, he denied it. Number three, I made a Reddit thread asking what people thought, and most people thought that it sounded like a nasty rumor. I was just going to shrug it off and move on. Number four, the girl then emailed either my roommate or mutual anonymous friend, and the gist of what it said was he R-worded her. It wasn't like it was an ambiguous thing that happened when they were both drunk either. I'm not going to post any more info about it, just because of the possibility that someone could find this thread and put two and two together. It's more about protecting her identity than leaving out useful info for you guys. I'm sure you understand. Edit. I forgot to add that the email alleges that the ex-girlfriend heard he also R-worded someone else, also a long time ago. So take that for what it is. Also, another edit. Since I, without really thinking, posted some details about the situation down there, a lot of people have gotten confused about it all. So I will just give the briefest summary of the R word. They had a fight, they made up, he wanted to have make-up intimacy, she didn't, but he had intimacy with her anyways. She was shocked and was even considering, did I just get R-worded? Before realizing, yes, she definitely got R-worded, broke up with him, he stalked her some, or at least made her feel uncomfortable. Kinda ambiguous, but whatever. She moved out of our city after one interaction where he stared her down. Number 5, I confronted him, and he admitted it. I asked him why he didn't just tell me about it from the beginning. He said he thought they had worked it out, and there were other holes in the story. She never pressed charges or anything, but she did say in the story that he continued to harass her and her new boyfriends. They were dating for about a month when he R-worded her. which he denies. So that pretty much did it for me. I drove him home and got him to get his stuff out of my car, etc. I did tell him that in his next relationship, he should be honest about it with her so that she doesn't have to find out this way. I guess I'm just kind of in shock right now. But you know that ambiguous feeling that's at the end of relationships that, did I do the right thing? Yeah, I don't really have that feeling. I feel pretty certain I did the right thing. I'm looking forward to just getting on with my life without him in it. Edit, since this is probably relevant information, looking back at our relationship, I do see things that could make me suspect he's less than 100% a healthy person. I don't want to go into those things so much because they're pretty personal and would be readily identifiable, but suffice it to say that after discussing it with friends, I realized the warning signs were there. There was never anything that in itself was so inexcusable. It was just a pattern of things like, taken together, I should have noticed, but I was too busy being a dumbass, in love / whatever. It's more like a pattern of thinking that perhaps he has owned something, or that he is entitled to things he really isn't, or that he needs to get his way all the time. But don't get me wrong, he's also very sweet and loving a lot of the time. Also, I'm 100% sure he's reading this thread. So I'm gonna just try to keep the anonymity to a maximum, but want to send him a loud, clear, but indirect message because I don't want to contact him. But hey, you, do not contact me, my roommate, or any other person involved. Contacting me will result in me contacting police. Edit, for all interested, we changed the locks. I let him use my car sometimes, which have my house keys on it, so in case he made a copy or something, we just are getting them changed. And the top comment on this post is, I'm glad she got out unscathed, but it's a pity he didn't meet true justice. And we have never heard from the OP again. OP's mother was sent to the burn unit as a result of domestic violence, and OP asked Reddit for help dealing with the fallout. And the post reads as follows. California. My mother, Jane, is my biological mother. Her husband, John, is just her husband. They have 2 sons together. Both are minors. They live on my grandmother's property in their travel trailer. They got into an argument. She threw a piece of meat at him. He dumped a crock pot of boiling water all over her front and smashed it at her feet. Statements were taken. She was taken to a burn unit, and he was arrested. My grandma, 72, and I, 23, have my little brothers. This happened about 7 p.m. tonight. I have no idea what happens next. I have zero experience with this. I've disassociated myself so I can be strong in front of my brothers. We won't be talking to anyone until the morning, but I need some guidance immediately. I'm panicking internally. My grandma is quiet. We both have the means to care for them. Someone who has experience, can you please tell me the process? I have so many questions about what's going to happen. All they told us is that he'll be taken to jail for at least 1 night, and a judge will decide what happens next, and she'll be in the burn unit. Please help. If you know the process or anything about it, please tell me. Please don't scroll. And the OP makes an edit and it reads, I'm overwhelmed by everyone's kindness. Thank you. Please keep the comments coming. It's helping. I have calmed down. I'm not in shock anymore and kind of distracting myself as much as possible at the moment. I feel like I should add that he has been in prison before, for killing someone in the 90s, I think. I don't remember the degree. I also feel like I should have mentioned that before, but I was only thinking about the current situation. I'm sure that changes a lot of facts about this. My apologies. Edit 2. The hospital will let her leave after a social worker speaks to her. It is confirmed she has first, second, and third degree burns. I have the county DA office's number written down and a local safe family number that'll help with the process to give to her in the AM. Thank you guys again. And edit number 3. I think someone asked if he is still on probation. I'm losing comments, there's a lot, but he is not on probation. He got off in 2013, I think. After talking with my grandmother earlier, I learned he's been in prison twice before, on 2 separate occasions. I believe the first was for killing someone, and the second was violating parole from the killing someone thing. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, your mother needs a good divorce attorney and should definitely seek a protective order. Her husband needs to be evicted, which hopefully shouldn't be too hard since he committed a serious crime. As far as the kids go, I have no idea. Look into contacting a family law attorney for a consult. Someone else says, attorney who has worked with domestic violence victims here. This isn't legal advice, I'm not your lawyer, but some information on how the system works. Other commenters are correct that law enforcement should have requested a criminal protective order or emergency protective order that will protect your mother and you, since you were on site. That will last a few days. You should also get a restraining order against him, which is basically a civil version of the criminal PO that will remain in place regardless of what happens with his criminal case, and carries additional protections. You should be able to find a domestic violence self-help clinic at your local courthouse that can help walk you through the paperwork or fill it out for you. Google your county and courthouse plus domestic violence clinic, plus most courthouses will have info on their website. There are also numerous nonprofits that hold similar clinics, many of which conduct virtual meetings now. You can Google your city plus domestic violence restraining order clinic. Many of these clinics/nonprofits can also help with divorce/custody filings. When the time comes, either free of charge or for reduced fees. Some will have max income requirements in order to provide free services. And someone else says, for now, everyone is safe. Get some rest, be there for your brothers, allow yourself to cry. This is the body's way of releasing tension, emotion, and adrenaline. The police and your mom's social worker, once appointed, will be able to help you with next steps if you do not hear from the police tomorrow. You can call for an update and ask for info on whether an emergency or criminal protective order was issued. They will be able to inform you of the next steps. Take care. You are doing great. Make sure to drink water and eat. Sleep if you can. And ask for help when you need it. Whether from friends, law enforcement, social workers, or Reddit. You can do this. And then we get an update a day later, and the OP says he was booked with the following. The first one was a felony, and it basically means this charge alleges that the person willfully caused a physical injury that resulted in a visible or internal injury to a spouse, cohabitant, or dating partner. And then the second was also a felony, and this charge alleges that the person used force, fear, or threat in an attempt to stop a victim or witness from reporting a crime or cooperating with law enforcement or testifying in court. And the OP continues and says, and has a $100,000 bail. No arrangement yet. My mother is out of the hospital with first, second, and third degree burns. She was granted a 7-day RO and has filed for a DVRO plus custody of the kids. If I'm not mistaken, the F in the charges is a felony. I wasn't sure which way it'd go, considering both of those charges are wobblers. The kids are safe, I'm safe, and have calmed down. We are just waiting on victim advocates and social workers to reach out, and waiting on arrangement. Thank you again to everyone who reached out, and I will give a final update after this is blown over and the consequences were given. And then the OP gives us another update a day later, and it's titled, "He's been arrested and he's going away." And the post reads, "My mom will finally be free. I will finally be free. My brothers are old enough to understand they're free, but they'll be going to counseling." He threw his dinner plate at her, poured boiling crockpot water down the front of her, and then was recorded saying, quote, "Give me the effing phone," after she dialed 911. After 11 years, that was the final straw for her. First, second, and third degree burns. The youngest brother, 7, opened up and said that he told him to tell the cops it was an accident. He's done. He's being charged with 2 felonies, and because of his priors, there are 3 enhancements added. Bail is too high. Denied pre-trial release. The judge deemed him unfit for society. Even with a good lawyer, he wouldn't be able to get off without time. DV restraining orders are filed. Emergency custody was filed. I filed my own personal restraining order. He's done. He can't hurt us anymore. And this is the last post we have ever received from the OP. I just found proof that my pregnant wife has relapsed. Hi, I'm going to put a trigger warning here because this contains mentions of drug use. My wife is addicted to H. I said it. I created this account just to be able to admit this somewhere. I have a hard time saying it even though I've been to many NAR Anon meetings. I used to be able to say it easily. Back when I was seething with anger toward her, the first time we did this song and dance. I have a regular Reddit account that I sometimes post in a parenting sub on, and I don't really want this tied to my account. Maybe I will post about it there when I'm ready, but this isn't something I readily share or am ready to share. I thought I was past having to talk about this all the time or think about it every single day. When I went through this with her the first time, there was a period where I probably only really talked to other loved ones of addicts because they were the only people who could understand what I was going through. I'm sorry to say I've lost touch with all of them. I've just been sitting here on my couch crying for 15 minutes. I felt like she's been off the past few days. She fell asleep early tonight, so I took the opportunity to search the house. I found her supplies hidden in various places. I already knew, but I needed the proof. So I tore the house apart until I found proof. She strategically placed the items in different places, not all together. I feel oddly vindicated, since she kept assuring me she hadn't taken anything. It starts to make you feel crazy. In a weird way, I wanted to find proof, just so I wouldn't feel so crazy anymore. On the other hand, I didn't want to find anything. She has a long history of drug use, mainly pain medication and H. It started when she was a teenager and was prescribed pain meds after a bad injury. She was a normal girl then, not into anything bad or illegal, not hanging out around people who did drugs, not somebody you'd think would wind up a H addict by the time she got to college. She got hurt playing a high school sport. She got addicted and started buying pills on the street until that became too expensive, and she turned to H. I didn't know her then. I met her when she was 26 and she'd been clean for about 6 months. She'd been clean off and on for years, but only for short times. She shouldn't have been dating me, or anyone for that matter, since they generally advise not dating anyone for a year when you're in recovery. I have never been a drug user. I knew very little about this world before meeting her. She didn't tell me about it until we'd been dating for probably a month or so. It was a huge shock. She seemed totally normal, so sweet, so pretty and healthy looking, had a good job, was smart, and just seemed together. We got married a year after meeting. I've kicked myself so many times for being so stupid, so unrealistic. I loved her so much. Still do, but now my love feels polluted or tarnished. We wanted kids, but decided to wait a while. I at least realized she needed to be in recovery for a longer period of time before we took that step. She got pregnant after we'd been married about 3 years. She'd been clean for nearly 5 years, and things in our lives were going great. My career was going so well. Her life was back on track. She was finally doing really well and being promoted at work. We had a dog that she dotted on. We bought a new house. It was early on in her first pregnancy when I discovered she was using again. It came out that she'd started using again shortly before getting pregnant. We separated legally and lived separately as well, with me paying for everything. She continued to use H for months while pregnant, but finally entered an outpatient program for pregnant women. So I'm really rambling now. I'm sorry. She followed the instructions during the later half of her pregnancy, was under a specialist care, had to take prescribed opiates since quitting cold turkey while pregnant can be more dangerous, but eventually got clean from everything within a few months of our child's birth. By some huge miracle, our baby was born pretty healthy. Small, but within normal range. She suffered from very mild neonatal abstinence syndrome, with mild symptoms that lasted a few days. It was still excruciating to watch her endure, but it could have been so much worse. I had primary custody and still lived separate from her, but she had regular contact with the baby, always supervised. She did everything she was told to do, passed all the drug tests, went to every meeting. That was 4 years ago. Initially, I didn't plan to stay married to her. I was disgusted by what she did while pregnant with our child. I'm still disgusted by it, but don't think about it like I used to. Over the past 4 years, we have slowly repaired our relationship and marriage. Again, things have been going great. She made a huge effort. She was sticking with her recovery program and really seemed dedicated to it. She got really into whole body health, physical and mental, and seemed like the best version of herself I've known. This pregnancy wasn't planned. She's about 12 weeks pregnant with our second child. She was supposedly on birth control. I was scared. Her being pregnant again was giving me some sort of PTSD. We had to talk early on. I couldn't deal with what she put me through last time. And if she was tempted to do anything she shouldn't, or if she did it just one time, to please tell me. It'd be better to tell me than to hide and lie about it. It wasn't until this week that I knew something was off. There's a certain look in her eyes. Her voice changes. Her mannerisms change. Even her smell changes. I can just see the smallest signs of when she's used any amount of something. I swore I would never let myself be oblivious as I was the first time around. She's not been nodding out or anything like that in front of me, but I just knew. She's been getting home earlier than me due to some classes she's taking for a job-related certification. I think she's using during that gap, and it's sort of worn off by the time I get home, but the signs are still evident enough for me. I haven't woken her up. I wanted to. I wanted to scream at her. Instead, I just sat in the living room and cried. I don't know how I survived this the first time, but I don't think I'll survive it a second time. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, it's heartbreaking to think you were finally in a good place and now this happens. Addiction is brutal and sneaky. Your feelings are valid and it's okay to feel angry and hurt. Take care of yourself and your child first. She needs help, but you can't carry this alone. And then the OP responds and says, I feel so many things, I almost can't make sense of it all right now. I feel angry, hurt, betrayed, guilty. The list goes on. Another user says, with her previous history and an addict-born baby already, I would contact her OB right now. She needs early intervention this time before she needs daily opioids to stay stable. OP, my heart goes to you. My oldest son is an opioid addict. Everything goes for him. I love him more than I love myself. Any parent knows what I'm talking about. But if he weren't my son, I would have turned my back a long time ago. Dealing with an addict is extremely life-draining. If I were in your shoes, I would contact your doctor immediately. Take your child and tell her she needs to go to an inpatient rehab right now. Keep in contact with her. It is best for the pregnancy, but no romantically. Support her as you would a family member that you want to succeed because you want her to. She will always be your children's mother. Don't make any decisions regarding your marriage other than to don't be intimate active with her until the birth of the baby, but make all necessary arrangements in case you need to file for divorce later on. It sucks. I know it does, but life gave you these cards. Learn to play with them. Your children are your priority right now. And the OP responds and says, I don't know what my full plan is yet, but she just left the house. She has an exam for the certification she's been going to classes for, so I decided not to bring anything up this morning. Plus, our daughter doesn't need to be present when I confront her. I've taken today off work because I knew mentally I wouldn't be able to concentrate. Plus, I was worried she'd pick our daughter up from daycare early before I got home, and I can't let her get high with our daughter there at home. It's still early where we are, so her doctor's office isn't open yet. Another user says, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I don't have much in the way of advice, but I'll be 25 years clean from H in a couple of months. It can be done. It can be beaten. There is some hope. Wishing you and your family peace and healing. And then the OP responds and says, congratulations on your recovery time. As I'm sure you know, statistically your story is not typical for H addicts. And I'm not naive to that. I didn't think I lived in a world where I was letting myself believe, but not my wife. I guess I've been living in that world. And then the OP gives us an update 4 days later, and let's get into it. The OP writes, I posted recently about discovering my wife has relapsed on H. She's 12 weeks pregnant with our second baby, although this one wasn't planned. I'm having a pity party tonight, so what better to do than post here? But really, I'm not ready to share with our family and friends yet. I will not be enabling her by covering up for her. I just want to get my ducks in a row. I know I'm not really alone, but for some reason, late at night in days like this, I feel like the loneliest person in the world. My parents know that she relapsed because I told them. The day after I found my wife's drug gear hidden throughout the house, I immediately moved our 4-year-old daughter and myself to my parents' house. Yeah, I know in an ideal world she'd be locked out of our house, but doesn't work that way when she's also legally an owner of the house. Plus, one thing I learned the first time around when I was dealing with her addiction is that I can really only control my actions/reactions. Trying to control her will only drive me crazy. So the easiest, fastest, and most stress-free way to get my daughter out of that setting was to quickly move into my parents' home. I am planning to go get a truckload of our things later this week. I've informed her family that she's relapsed and that I've moved out of their house. They can do with that information what they want. I filed for divorce today. Luckily, I have a friend who is a lawyer, not family law, and he was able to set me up very quickly with a good family law attorney. Well, I shouldn't say it's officially filed because there are still a few paperwork steps to be done, but it's imminent and in good hands. After meeting with the attorney, I went to my car and sobbed like a baby. I admit I cried for a good hour tonight too. I'm not usually a crier like this. I'm not ashamed to admit I've been doing a lot of it lately. Otherwise, I'm full of rage. I'm angry at her and angry at myself for giving her another chance. I'm angry because it makes me feel like a fool when she lies to me and acts as if I'm an idiot who can't clearly see all of the signs and how high she is right there in front of me. I get so mad that I have to remove myself because I don't know that I can control myself. I'm sad for her, for me, for our daughter, for this unborn baby she has mother agreed to have an operation to get rid of. It's really effing depressing when you're trying to convince your wife to have an operation to get rid of your child because she's such a mess. I should have just divorced her, as I'd planned to do after our daughter was born. We were legally separated for a while, and it would have been easy to just push that in through to an official divorce. It's like I can't breathe. Then there's the whole issue of our daughter. Courts don't automatically strip somebody of custody because they're on drugs. She won't completely lose access to her daughter. She may even get unsupervised access to our daughter. What am I supposed to do then? I left all of her drug supplies on the table with a note for her to find when she got home. After my daughter and I had already left, then I went over there today. I actually went to go get some of my personal belongings, and she was there in the middle of the day, sleeping in bed when she was supposed to be working. I lost it. Nothing physical, just my temper. I asked her how she liked my note. She was clearly high. She denied it. I found proof right there in the bathroom. She still tried to deny it. She said she doesn't have to have an operation to get rid of our baby if she doesn't want to. So she's going to put us through this again? I told her exactly what I think about her and left. I felt bad, and there's part of me that wants to help her, but emotionally, I don't think I can. I have to remove myself. I can't get sucked in again, or I won't be able to be a good dad to our daughter. And FYI, by sucked in, I mean just sucked into the emotional turmoil, the constant worrying, the taking everyone on by myself for her sake. I'm not a H user and have never tried this stuff and never will. Anyway, I'm glad to have my daughter because I feel like she's this positive light keeping me going right now when I really don't want to keep going. I know I'm making the right decision to divorce, but it doesn't feel good right now. I feel like my life just imploded overnight. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, anger is just sadness and disappointment. It's good to cry. It gets all that pain out. I'm really sorry you're going through this, and I'm also really sorry, but she's going through this. I doubt she wanted her life to turn up this way. It's too bad she has so many people that she's hurting. I'm glad that you got your daughter out and you're safe. Hopefully you don't have a problem trying to get your half of the house. If she's not working, I doubt she's going to be able to pay mortgage payments." And the OP responds and says, "Yeah, for legal purposes, I won't discuss my plan regarding the house as far as what I'm requesting in the divorce, but I hope it can be resolved quickly. I make all the payments on the house, but that doesn't mean much." And someone else says, "As a caseworker, I urge you to go to CPS immediately. Be a walk-in and refuse to leave until you speak with a triage caseworker to help you report. Get ahead of it now because she is going to birth this baby addicted to drugs if she does not have an operation to get rid of it, or it's a stillbirth. There's many things that will haunt me when I die, but nothing more than the screams of a baby born addicted to drugs. Get yourself assessed as a good father in CPU's eyes because they will be going through your life and your daughters with a fine-tooth comb. Evidence, evidence, evidence." And this is the last post we have ever received from the OP. And as the OP said in the comment before this other one, he says, "For all of the legal reasons, I won't discuss more. And I assume that is why he has never posted again. But I truly hope that the OP and his daughter are doing better now. I really do wonder what ended up happening with this entire scenario. But for now, we have nothing to go off of other than, just wishing the OP and his daughter well. Such a sad, sad situation."